One down and three to go as we slowly find out who the Phoenix Suns will actually be playing in the first round. I'll break down tonight's play-in game between Minnesota and LA, talk about what might happen next. It's all coming up on today's Locked On Suns.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are back. This is Locked On Phoenix Suns. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Brendon Kleen, a contributor at Suns.com and Dime Magazine, and a credentialed media member covering this Suns team for the past 5 seasons. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen today and every day. We are growing this YouTube channel. Want to get 1,000 subscribers by Sunday, game 1. Please tell every Suns friend, family member, fan in your life to hit that subscribe button. If you're finding us on a podcast platform, you can do the same. Just scroll down, hit that subscribe or follow button. We will be here every single day throughout the playoffs. Have some bonus coverage scheduled for this week to actually preview the first round, which we will not fully know until Friday night. Might have an interview with the Suns player coming. Fingers crossed that can work out. So hit subscribe, guys. Come along for the ride. But we have a lot to get to today. The Suns, one step closer to finding out who they will be. A thrilling, awesome, fun play-in game. These things do not disappoint. I understand there's some technicalities as far as, in this case, the first seed maybe not playing who they would prefer to play. There's this whole rest thing of teams are coming along late, and you have the Nets and the Clippers who have these all-star, all-NBA caliber players somehow in the play-in game. I get all of that, but as basketball games, these have not disappointed, especially these 7-8 games. And another one tonight, 109-104, Minnesota winning. So they will clinch the 7 seed with their victory at home tonight, meaning they will play the Memphis Grizzlies, meaning the Clippers now face a game Friday against the winner of Spurs Pelicans, which is Wednesday night. And Friday, late into the night, we will finally find out who it is the Suns will face off against here in the first round of the playoffs. But with all that said, where I ended up as I was watching this game, really, I didn't quite know how I felt. I definitely thought the Clippers would win this game. I didn't necessarily have a great feel for which team the Suns would prefer to play. You know, obviously the Paul George factor. I think he's the best individual player out of any of these 4 teams. Cat is good in his own right, although he played a very disappointing game tonight. So I didn't know. But as I watched this thing unfold, I think I realized there was not a right answer. There was not a good version of events here, because you saw what a pain in the butt Minnesota can be. Now, I think the Anthony Edwards thing is, I don't know why the Clippers handled it the way that they did, continuing to give him switches, not playing guys like Terrence Mann. So that's not even the part that I necessarily mean when I say that. But the ability of the Wolves to rebound with energy, create second chances for themselves with Beverly, with Towns, with Naz Reid, with Jaden McDaniels, with Jaren Vanderbilt, all those guys adding up to 12 offensive rebounds. They can shoot. And then, of course, there's Patrick Beverly. And he was really, once again, the star of the show tonight in terms of attention being paid to him and turning points in the game, crowd involvement, getting under the other team's skin and in the other team's head. All that stuff is there. So, yes, the Clippers, they're deep. They're versatile. I'll talk about them more throughout the show and throughout the week. I think that's where we're headed. Of course, they will be favored in this next game, so that is the most likely scenario. But Clippers have all that. We know that. They're deep. They're versatile. Paul George, Reggie Jackson, we saw what he could do in last year's playoffs. He played pretty well for the majority of this game, and then late in crunch time was very, very frustrating. However, the Wolves have their own thing. And so the fact that this game was evenly matched did not surprise me. I think we were, as an NBA sort of talking group, community, whatever you want to say, like, we were underestimating, I think, the Timberwolves. We were looking at them as inexperienced, lacking star power, a questionable defense, and on and on and on. And I think instead, what we should have been doing was looking at them as a team that was 46-36, that was pretty deep, all things considered, and can score with the best of them. And that was the thing. I mean, late in this game, you just saw the Clippers not be able to muster up the offensive potency, really, to get the job done. I'm going to stand here for all the YouTube listeners so my camera can refocus. My sneeze screwed us up here. But you saw that. You saw what happens when Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, all these guys are actually making shots and punishing that Clippers switching defense. So they are deserved winners. I do think we saw some things tonight from the Clippers that should worry anybody, frankly. I mean, this team did not feel as scary tonight as the team that we saw take 2 games from the Suns, is kind of how I would put it. I think they did not have the scoring punch. I don't feel like Nick Batum is quite at the level that he was. I know that he made an impact on this game, but I think he had a better season last season. I feel the same way about Marcus Morris. So talk about that in a second, because that's the other big story here, is Karl-Anthony Towns not playing well. And I think what a lot of Suns fans will be wondering heading into a potential matchup with the Clippers is, can they do what they just did to Towns to DeAndre Ayton? Can they muck up the Suns offense by playing small, playing interchangeably, and destroying the rhythm of the opposing offense? So that's what I want to hit on in a little bit more depth here. First, though, guys, today's show brought to you by Shady Rays, a fun new sponsor here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that gives you the features of $200 sunglasses for a fraction of the price. That means polarized lenses, well-constructed, durable frames, and premium high-end finishes. Something you won't find anywhere else is Shady Rays' Insane Protection Program. Shady Rays includes lost and broken protection on every single pair that they sell. They'll send you a brand new pair if you lose yours, no matter what happens. So give Shady Rays a try. And if you don't love them, you'll pay nothing. So in addition to the broken or lost, if you don't like them, just send them back. It's as simple as that. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you make a purchase with Shady Rays. So exclusively for our Locked On listeners here, you're going to go to shadyrays.com, use the promo code LOCKEDON when you make your purchase to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's code LOCKEDON at shadyrays.com for their best deal of the season. 50% off 2 or more pairs of Shady Rays sunglasses, backed by over 150,000 verified 5-star reviews. All right, so Karl-Anthony Towns tonight. Aside from Patrick Beverley and the relative upset from expectations, Minnesota was the betting favorite, but I think a lot of people felt like the Clippers were going to win. That will be the big story. Patrick Beverley mucking things up, Anthony Edwards closing. But what didn't happen was a big night from the superstar player on the winning team, which is rare in the NBA, which is rare in most any sport. So what happened here, I think, is the big question. Cat was not only did he foul out, but Towns was also, when he was in the game 24 minutes, the Wolves were outscored by 14 points. Naz Reid, his backup, was a plus 17. So it wasn't just that Towns was in foul trouble. It was that he just did not play well. He had 4 turnovers and just 3 assists, 3 of 11 from the field. Aside from getting on the offensive glass and getting to the free throw line a couple times, he did nothing. And if you watch the game or watch the highlights, you can see why. I mean, some people were noting that this was something schematically that the Suns even did to Towns, and I'm sure it looked familiar to many of you. Nothing too complicated. It was basically, let's kind of invite the post-ups. Don't be afraid to put a smaller player on him, although the Suns don't always do that part. push him out off the block as much as possible, or front on the entry pass, and then double team when he catches the ball. So pretty straightforward type of game plan against a post scorer, but I think what it does is that it leans into his tendencies to want to sort of be in that triple threat position, to make plays with the ball in his hands, and his comfort on the perimeter in that way. It sort of turns that back around on him, I think, because he's not the type of player where he's going to be hell-bent on getting the ball on the block. Like, to him, if he catches it 16 feet from the basket, he feels okay. But when you are doing that and then bringing an aggressive and intelligent double team, then he quickly runs out of options. And so no coincidence that the Wolves, not just in the late game situation when Anthony Edwards really took them home and Russell made a couple big shots, but even in the first half, they made a couple of big runs. After the Clippers took a lead that second quarter where Minnesota scored 33 and the Clippers just scored 25, that was also with Towns out because of his third foul, or maybe actually fourth foul. So all that said, a lot of you are probably wondering, okay, well, is that something now that if the Clippers do end up being the Suns' opponent, that the Suns really need to worry about? Can they do that to Ayton? Can they basically decouple, or what am I thinking of? Unplug DeAndre Ayton from everything else that's going on? Can they wear down his level of productivity? And I think the answer is no. But it's not even about Towns versus Ayton versus whatever the Clippers were doing from a scheme standpoint defensively. Really what it is the Suns just do not play basketball that way, right? We know that the Clippers were probably the best team last year at just quieting Ayton down, making him uncomfortable. And a lot of that was Batum. A lot of that was Morris. Less of that really was Zubats. I don't think he's a player that the Suns really worry about. I think having the amount of ground that he has to cover and the fact that he's most comfortable in a drop defense means that Chris Paul is likely to be able to pick him apart. So it's not so much that, but we did see some of their sort of combo big men, their small ball big men, do a number on the Suns. But it's not the same thing. The Suns are not dumping the ball into DeAndre Ayton. They're going to post-ups if there's a mismatch, but if there's not one, they'll look it off. They'll send Ayton to the dunker spot, or they will just move the ball and get a quick shot off without him ever having to relocate after a pick and roll, or set from the elbow, or any of these types of things where he's involved as a screener and as a playmaker. It just, they don't play in a way where they're running offense through that. And so what I think made Cat so uncomfortable is the Clippers were just blowing up what it was that the Wolves were trying to do. Like, it wasn't that they were, stopping him when he got ahead of steam or was in an, open isolation situation. They just weren't allowing him to even do that. They weren't allowing him to get the ball in those situations or any of that stuff. So I don't think that's a big concern against Ayton. What I do think is interesting going forward, more on the Clippers side here, is I think what we saw the end of the last time that these teams played, the Clippers and the Suns, by game 5, game 6 of the conference finals, I just think we're bound to see the same thing play out again. What I mean by that is I just don't think the Clippers have the offensive firepower. At the end of this game, I already mentioned Reggie Jackson making some horrendous decisions. Took a corner 3 early in the clock, missed a layup at the rim. That's not really a decision, but more of a mistake, a mental mistake, and turned the ball over. It wasn't really in reach anymore, but Patrick Beverley got a steal from him. That's like 3 big mistakes late in the game. And then Paul George just looked completely exhausted. And we definitely saw that at times throughout the entire conference finals. And look, by that point, it was already 3 rounds in. And he was that tired. He already looks that way now. I mean, he's coming off of the injury. His conditioning may not be like peak, I just played, 70, 80 games level like he might want it to be. And also, he's been doing this for a whole season, whereas last year, by the conference finals, he had only played, I believe, 2 games without Kawhi Leonard to close out the second round. Now he's really been having to shoulder that burden for a long time. So unless it's going to be Norm Powell, which it very well could be, he's burned the Suns, I think, a couple of times this season and is a much better third option than anything the Clippers had in last year's playoffs. I do, if it's not him, Luke Kennard is dealing with a hamstring thing. I think the Suns can just kind of pick at him defensively. I don't know how playable he really is. Ty Lue barely played him last year. Just overall, if you look at who was playing in Game 5, Game 6 of last year's conference finals, there was a lot of DeMarcus Cousins. The Clippers clearly thought going big was something that they should at least be able to try to do against the Suns. That was pretty much it. I mean, it was Batum off the bench, and it was Mann in the starting lineup. I don't know why Terrence Mann didn't play more in this game. I think if the Suns do meet the Clippers, he will play a lot more because he's going to be an option to guard Devin Booker. But overall, look, the Game 6 was 130-103. When Chris Paul started to really go off and be aggressive, the Clippers didn't have an answer. And I just think, yes, at the end of the day, the Wolves only scored 109 points, but their offensive rating was 111.6. So you think of that more as like a 112-point game. It starts to, look a little bit more like what I'm saying, which is the Clippers cannot keep up. If your offense is at a high level, the Clippers are not going to be able to match that. They want to play a game where nobody scores more than, 100, 105 points. And the Suns they're not going to play a lot of games that are that low scoring. I feel better about their offense overall this year than I did last year. So I just think a lot of this stuff makes the Clippers a less fearsome overall team. We'll see what happens with Kawhi Leonard. I mean, I just have not talked about it on the show because I have nothing to add. I'm obviously not going to be dropping any Kawhi Leonard news. I'm not Clippers beat reporter or plugged into Uncle Dennis's listserv or newsletter or any of that type of stuff. I have nothing. I have no idea. If he plays, then it's a whole other ball game. That it becomes a conference finals level series in the first round once again. But cross that bridge if and when it ever needs to be crossed. I don't know. I just have no clue. Sounds like Kawhi's round 3, maybe. That's, to me, sounds like if he plays at all, it would be later in the first round, if they even get there. But we still have 2 more play-in games to go before we find that out on the Western Conference side. Let's close things out with a quick update on Monty Williams winning the Coaches Association Coach of the Year Award. We'll talk about that in just a second. First, though, guys, today's show brought to you by Athletic Greens, specifically A1. I use this stuff every single day. We've been moving. I've been tired. I've been trying to gear up for the playoffs and everything that this is going to entail. And I've been low on energy, but I also want to continue to work out and hit the gym and all that stuff. So AG1 has been a lifesaver. AG1 is packed with 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food-sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. I'll usually have a protein bar, then go to the gym, then do the AG1 sort of with breakfast, and that seems to be working for me. It helps me get some food in my body before I'm putting this stuff in there just to keep that immune system, gut health really working like it should. This special blend of ingredients supports that gut health, nervous system, energy, focus, aging, everything. There's a little bit of everything, those 75 vitamins and minerals to get you what you need to power you through the day, basically. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues, ended up on a complicated supplement routine to recover that cost him $100 a day. He created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create that optimal nutrition routine all by yourself. We've all experienced that. We're wandering around where, this person says to take this, that person says to take that. Well, Athletic Greens has really solved it because they're not trying to be a meal replacement. They're not trying to be heavy on protein. It's just this thing to take to make your body work better every single day. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition with just 1 scoop of water in a cup, 1 scoop in a cup of water every single day. That's it. AG1, 1 scoop of that, cup of water, shake it up, drink it, and you're good. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutrition insurance. Today's show, guys, also brought to you by Built Bar, the best tasting protein bar ever and my favorite protein bar. I told you about let me get the name right here, for the spring holiday, for Easter. You don't have to celebrate to enjoy the food. That's how I always feel about it. Built Puffs, Yellow Chirps is what we're calling them. But I'm actually also seeing one of my personal favorites is back on the menu over at Built Bar. And here's the deal. Every single Built Bar that you ever taste is going to be exactly the same. And here's what I mean. No more than 5 grams of sugar. No more than 150 calories. And you're going to get 15 to 20 grams of protein in each and every one. But the flavor that I was just hinting at there, blueberry muffin, take it from me, it's delicious. When you hear me say the fruit flavors, I'm sure there's a bit of you that's like, covered in chocolate. You know, Built Bars are covered in chocolate. And fruit on the inside, I am not too sure about that. But they are delicious. You do not have to worry. The chocolate is just this delectable shell, and then the flavor on the inside is everything you want. They don't clash. They don't blend. They're not weird. It's delicious. Trust me. Blueberry muffin or any flavor across the entire Built.com website, you will love it. Built.com, Built Bar is all about taste. They make it delicious first, and they figure out how to make it healthy, and they pull it off every single time. So go to Built.com, check out the blueberry muffin, check out the yellow chirps. Use the promo code LOCK15 when you hit that purchase button to get 15% off your next order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Alrighty, so Monty Williams winning the NBCA is what I believe it is called. The Coaches Union, which is the same award that he won last season. He was like the second one in recent history to win the National Basketball Coaches Association Coach of the Year award and not win the Media Vote award. And so now he is a back-to-back winner of the Coaches Association award. We will see what he is able to do in the Media Award. I am hopeful. He is the far and away the betting favorite, but a lot of these media folks tend to be bullish on Mr. Taylor Jenkins of the Memphis Grizzlies. I'll cross that when in a second, but Monty's quote here was very, very cool. So what he said is, the coaches in our league sacrifice so much to serve their teams, and there are so many outstanding coaches deserving of this honor. It is incredibly humbling to again receive this recognition from this group, for whom I hold the utmost respect. Thank you to my fellow coaches and everyone at the NBCA. You guys deserve an award for the work that you do for us and our families. He goes on to say, individual accolades are a result of team success. My name gets attached to this award, but the success of our team is due to the work put in every day by our players, coaching staff, and every member of the Suns organization. This honor is reflective of the efforts of countless people, and it is a privilege to work alongside you all. Again, he said, it's a get to, not a got to, as he likes to always throw in there, talking about the privilege of being part of the NBA family. So last but not least here, the real story, if you will. So this guy on NBA Twitter, at Crows Fire, Max Crows, is doing the Lord's work this year, and he has put together on Google Drive, a Google spreadsheet here, the official, basically, NBA awards tracker. So he is taking all these media people who write these articles about who they're going to vote for or tweet out who they're voting for, or any of that stuff, compiling it all in one place, and he is adding the totals as he goes. So, for instance, right now, total points confirmed it's only 16 out of 100 votes, so he's doing the best he can here. But for Defensive Player of the Year, for instance, 51 total points for Marcus Smart, 28 for Mikal Bridges, who is currently sitting in second place out of these folks' tally so far. What he doesn't really have is the local beat writers, but he has the national vote. So that can sometimes sway things. With all that said, Coach of the Year wise, he has 18 confirmed votes. It looks like he has a couple more of the local folks here. And what he has for Coach of the Year so far is a much tighter race than I think any of us would like. Monty Williams with 62 total points. Taylor Jenkins of the Grizzlies with 48. 10 first-place votes for Monty, 8 for Taylor Jenkins. I really don't get it. Not to take anything away from Taylor Jenkins, but it is completely a expectation versus reality type of thing. And that's the deal with this vote that I kind of hate it. I don't like Coach of the Year in any league because I think for the most part, the award should go to one of 3 to 5 people every single season. Like, to me, the best coaches in the NBA are probably in some order: Nick Nurse, Eric Spoelstra, Greg Popovich, Monty Williams. Maybe you throw Steve Kerr in there. Maybe you throw, I don't know. I think Taylor Jenkins is a great coach. Maybe he's the 5th guy. But we love the new story. We love teams that overachieve relative to expectations. But who sets those expectations? Well, it's the media. So the media sets expectations, and then if somebody overachieves on those expectations, then the media rewards them for doing that. I don't think anybody in the Grizzlies locker room is sitting there saying, "Oh, we were supposed to be so much worse. What a great achievement. We were so much better than everybody said." Like, no, they had the belief. Taylor Jenkins coached this team every day thinking they had the ability to win 50-something games, right? So it's weird to do it that way. I think Monty will still win. I think the NBA Coaches Association thing probably doesn't change anything because votes were due on Monday. This did not get announced until Tuesday. But I don't know. There's part of me that thinks he might actually appreciate the Coaches Association one a little more anyway, to be completely honest, over the media. Monty's not one to fret too much about what the media thinks. All right, no podcast tomorrow, guys. I'm taking a day off. Bonus content to come. Aaron Edwards' weekly visit to come still, and previewing the series. Like, there's a lot. Hit subscribe. Thanks for making Locked On Suns your first listen every single day, guys, as we make our way to and then through the playoffs. But for now, go make Locked On NBA your second listen to get caught up on everything going on in the play-in games and beyond around the league on Tuesday night.